now. Hello and welcome to this session of English 204. Today marks mid of the semester for us because we're in week 6. We have 7 more weeks remaining. However, the final week is going to be just housekeeping. Let me show you what we still have. So week 6, we're going to do finding and selecting sources online. Week 7 is going to be on paraphrasing, summarizing, and quoting. Don't worry about the long assignment. We'll get to that. Week 8 will be planning an argument, organizing ideas, and generating an outline. 9, we will compose a literature review, learn how to do a matrix. Week 10 is going to be writing a position paper. Week 11 will deal with writing introductions and conclusions. Then we will deal with research paper conferences. So you will meet with me one-on-one. You will decide on conference day and time. And week 13, we'll do the final paper plus progress discussions. So it's basically like a housekeeping session. Since this week, week 6, is almost halfway through, I just want to pause and ask you, how have things been for you so far in terms of how the course, how it's designed, laid out, the fact that we meet once a week, an asynchronous session, and the rest of the time we have asynchronous work. Has it been working out for you? What has been working out for you? What hasn't been working out for you? You can always use your chat, or you can unmute yourself and let me know.
It's working out just fine for me.
Working out just fine for you. Okay. Emma is saying yes, it's fine. What did you find to be difficult or challenging? Anything is difficult or challenging? Aisha, are you typing something? For us or? Okay.
I think it's like the most appropriate way to teach like an English course, especially a research course, online I'm speaking.
Yes, online. Of course, so, yeah, the face-to-face setting will be very different. Has there been anything in the course design that has been particularly helpful for you? Anything regarding the layout, repetition of certain things?
I liked how the time and the assignments are divided, yani.
Yeah. It's always the same. Like it's there is this kind of routine, right? Yeah. Good. Okay. Yeah, I try to make it as similar as possible. So the header has the week number with the dates, with the topic, and then some instructions with the links, all clearly stated. So before we began recording, I was just saying to some of you who were already here that this session was supposed to be a synchronous session with our librarian. However, I thought it's going to be difficult to get everyone online and paying attention at once to a librarian who's talking about how to research the databases that are available for us at the library. So I asked her to do videos for us, and she did those 2 videos, how to search the databases and another one on information literacy. So going over these videos, which are not long, I think one is like around 11 minutes, the other one is a little bit over 3 minutes, so it's there just the right time. You can always pause and go back if there's anything that was unclear. And we also provided you with a printable on the and the PowerPoint. So in case, you know, you are somebody who is more visual, you'd like to read more than you'd like to listen to a video, you can always refer to these two over here. Because as you know, some of us are visual learners, we like to learn by looking. Some of us are auditory learners, we like to learn by listening. And some of us are kinesthetic, so we like to learn by doing. So this week, having done this before, which is thinking critically and writing arguments, going over how to distinguish fact from opinion, how to analyze an argument, how to build a strong argument, and following Toulmin's model argumentation, we are going to look for sources for our research. What do we have already done? We have a thesis, we have a research question, and we have a thesis statement. So what we're going to be doing this week is we're going to look for information and find 2 or 3 sources, but they have to be academic and or peer-reviewed. And you're going to be submitting these citations, okay? So what do you have to do? You have to write your research question and thesis statement. Of course, first of all, you have to write your name, the course, my name, the date and the assignment, okay? And then you're going to be writing the research question, the thesis statement, and you're going to be citing 3 sources. This assignment is a very, very simple assignment. It's due on Sunday. All I want you to do is find these 3 sources. These 3 sources, number one, first of all, they have to be academic and or peer-reviewed. We've already covered how to find these sources if they're academic or peer-reviewed in session 1 or 2 when we worked on annotating an article. We learned how to find a peer-reviewed article. So I want you to find an academic article related to your research question and thesis statement. So now we're thinking about ways to support our thesis statement. You can either find a source for each of the points that you have mentioned in your thesis statement, or you can find sources related to the topic, sources that give you background information, these kinds of sources. It would be ideal if you can find sources that support every single point in your research, in your thesis statement. I keep confusing research question and thesis statement. It's as simple as that. Now, what is the point of doing this exercise? The point in doing this exercise is twofold. Number one, remind you and refocus your minds on your research question and thesis statement. Number two, preparing for something that's going to come next week and the week after. The following couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, are going to be a little bit heavy in terms of work. However, having said that, once you get through them, you're done. Like, but you're not done as in like the semester is over and will no longer be doing work, but you will be done in terms of doing the heavy lifting in the course. Now, you might ask me, what if we're like 2 people working on this or 3 people working on this together? How many sources should we find? In the past, I used to ask students to find each student has to find 2 or 3 sources. This time around, I'm going to say no, we are not going to be, I'm not going to force every single one of you to find 2 to 3 sources. I will say I want 2 to 3 sources per research question and thesis statement. This means that if you're 3 people working on this, each person can find 1 resource. Just make sure that you're all looking for the different parts of your paper. If you are 4 people working on this, please find 4 resources. I know I have one group of 4 students. I want you to submit 4 four sources. So one by each student, okay? I'm not saying the larger the number of sources, the better, but it'll make the work easier for you later on. Because if you look for sources this week and you find 3 good sources, that is less work for you later on. Do you have any questions? Is there anything that's unclear? I know some of you cannot hear me. Emma, I think it's maybe with your connection, because I noticed that when you first joined, it was lagging a little bit for you. It was taking some time for you to be able to connect to the audio. So maybe you can rewatch this, because it's not going to be a very long session. So do you have any questions about what I just explained? You can hear me. Okay, great. Thank you. Do you any questions? Yes, Aisha.
So these 3 sources are supposed to be included in the final paper?
Yes. So what we're doing here is we are slowly working towards a large, I don't want to say large and scare you. We're slowly working towards a research paper that is really well done. Okay? And as we are working slowly towards this research paper, we're learning a few things. Number one, we're learning how to divide our work up so that we don't get caught up in doing a lot in a short period of time. Because as you know, most of us are procrastinators, and we have a tendency to leave our work till the end. The second point is in teaching you the different parts that go into a research paper. As you will see next week, or the week after, actually, not next week, you're thinking the research paper should look one way. I'm going to show you that it doesn't look that way. It's going to look a different way than what you're used to. So it's not just an introduction and body paragraphs and a conclusion and maybe a reference list, but rather it's composed of very different parts. And these parts include background information, a literature review, maybe results, etc., etc. So, so in dividing the work up this way, we are working the paper like a puzzle. So we are collecting the different parts, and then at the end, we'll just put them together and form one big picture. What I have experienced in the past by following this this method in teaching this course and this research paper and how to write academically is that by the end of the semester, students find themselves with a full-on research paper without knowing how they got there. They're like, oh, it's easy. And I love this approach. And in fact, I apply it myself to my research. So every time I have a research that I need to conduct and publish, etc., I follow the same steps, and then it magically happens. The paper somehow writes itself once I have a very clear research question, thesis statement, and an outline. It somehow writes itself. Questions?
For the sources, can we submit 3 sources, and then if we need other sources, we add them at the end? Like when we...
Oh, definitely. Yes, you will. You're going to need more than 3 sources. But just for this activity, we're going to be, because right now we're starting to work towards our literature review. For the literature review, we need to collect sources and we need to cite them. We need to summarize, paraphrase, and learn how to quote. We need to do a matrix in order to be able to write a literature review. A literature review is one of the most difficult things to write and research. And the funny thing is that every single type of research includes a kind of literature review. Whether you are in the humanities, whether you're writing a paper in the humanities like literature, music, history, religion, or whether you're in the social sciences, you're writing a paper in political science, sociology, psychology, anthropology. Whether you are in the hard sciences, you're working on a paper in chemistry or physics or medicine or biology, you have to write a literature review. Now, the literature review differs from discipline to discipline in the sense of how large it is, what the different methods of employed in writing one is, how argumentative it is. So it differs from discipline to discipline in this sense, but every single discipline requires of you to have done a form or another of literature review. What is a literature review? We'll talk more about it in a couple of weeks. However, in a nutshell, a literature review is a summary of the research that has been done before you. And the reason we do a literature review is to do two things. Number one, show that we've done our homework, and that we have looked to see that nothing that we are writing about has been done before, that we are furthering the discipline, that we're working, we're adding, we're contributing some thought, because academia is about knowledge production. And then the second reason why we do a literature review is to show that we have done our research, we have done our homework, we're standing on the shoulders of the giants who came before us. So those are the two main important points. And because the literature review is common among the disciplines, we learn how to do that so that you can feel comfortable doing it. Now, if you're writing a paper in another course, and you will be doing a form or another of literature review. However, if you're somebody who's thinking of going into a graduate school in the future, going for a master's or a PhD in the future, working in research, if you plan on going to the School of Medicine somewhere, learning and knowing how to write a literature review is highly beneficial. And so this is how we're doing it, instead of just doing it and like at once. Like I tell you, this is a literature review, write one. I'm breaking it up for you into smaller steps so that it's not difficult. It's actually easier for you to do. Questions? Concerns? Okay. As you see over here, grading criteria, this assignment is part of paraphrasing, summarizing, and quoting, and will be reviewed then. It's not grading per se, as in you're going to be getting a grade that breaks it up down into like what did you do wrong, etc., etc. No, rather it's more of your work is A level, your work is a B level. I'm not going to be grading as I had agreed with you this semester. I'm not going to be assigning you a grade. But however, if I feel that your work is below par, I'm going to point it out and tell you, listen, your work is really not there. It needs to be improved. Don't be disheartened by what I did with you when it came to the research question and the thesis statement. I was a little bit harsh, and the reason I was a little bit harsh is because I know that if I'm not harsh with you now, you're going to be suffering later on. If you have a research question that's not really up there, or a thesis statement that's very accurate or on point. So I was helping you rather than hindering your work. You probably didn't see it that way, but I was doing you a favor, and you will see that later on. You will notice how it was actually good that you were very meticulous about how you wrote your thesis statement.
Professor?
Yes, Celine?
I have a question. For the citation, what MLA, APA, Chicago, what style?
We're always using APA, as we mentioned earlier when we did the annotation, right? So we're using APA, and the reason we're using APA is because I don't have anybody in class who is, maybe one person. No, I don't think I even have a person who is in the humanities, so no MLA. And most people are in the social sciences or even in the hard sciences use APA, so it's easier. Cool. Okay. I'm going to stop recording right now, pause recording.